over the course of Valorant history, a Chinese team has never won an international tournament ever. Okay? They have played in 3 international events and they have never won a game. But finally, we have a team that have managed to finally get a victory. It's been so long, and finally, we've actually got a Chinese team that has managed to take down arguably one of the best teams in the world, and one of the best teams in Europe, actually, in one of the biggest upsets I think anyone's ever seen. So, according to this graphic, and I've had a look at some of the results, there has not been a single victory for a Chinese team at any international event across Champions, across Lock-In, and at Masters Tokyo, except for today, okay? If you guys have been watching VCT Masters, you would have seen this event has already been riddled with upsets, right? We saw EG get... they took down DRX, which is one of the most bizarre victories I've ever seen, but they managed to do it. And today, this graphic is slightly wrong because EDG won 2-0, but EDG have just taken down Na'Vi. And I don't know if, like, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen at an international event where it was so close and Na'Vi still failed to win it out, which is bizarre to me. You have some of the most experienced players in the world. Angel, former CSGO player. He's been in this tournament, he's been in these tournaments for years. CNED, previous, winner of Champions. We have Sugetsu, Shao, Zipan. These guys have been in more finals than I can count. And we're losing to EDG? Really? We're losing to EDG? So, yeah, this was a bizarre game. Smoggy and Kang, I think is how you say his name. These two absolutely popped off, as you can see here. 238 ACS and 220 ACS. They absolutely demolished these guys. And it wasn't even it was close. Obviously, the scoreline doesn't really represent that. Obviously, you could see that they won 2-0. But both games on Pearl and Bind were incredibly close. You'll see that EDG won Pearl 17-15. So it went, quadruple overtime, something like that. And then they won against... they beat them in the first round of OT on Bind as well. So, yeah, these games were close. But, man, this was absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've seen anything like this when it comes to Na'Vi. They've been playing so well. And then, obviously, during the event so far, they got taken down by NRG in the first round, and you would have thought, okay, NRG, fair enough, they played very well, Ardis popped off, Crashies popped off, and you can kind of forgive them for it, I think you can kind of sit there and be like, okay, a loss to NRG, we can kind of accept it, but a loss to EDG? Come on, what's going on here? But this does mean that history has actually been made today, so there has not been a single victory for a Chinese team at an international event, bar today, which is absolutely bizarre. So going into some of the other matches that we've got coming up, we do have T1 versus EDG. Obviously, this will be the deciding match, and the winner of this deciding match will qualify for the playoffs. And obviously, the playoffs are very important because this is how you get to the next stage of the tournament. Obviously, if you lose in the lower bracket here, which is on both of these groups here, then you are immediately eliminated from the tournament and obviously unable to continue further, and you will have to go to the LCQ if you have not qualified for Champions, which most of these teams already have. But Foot Esports, I think, qualified today. DRX, I think, qualified as well. So Team Liquid as well, I think, qualified today. So quite a few teams have qualified for Champions because of these results. And I believe Na'Vi has to go through the LCQ, if I'm not mistaken. So, obviously, huge disappointment here today. I don't think anyone really expected anything like this. So, yeah, massive, massive victory. And obviously, Kang absolutely popped off. I don't think many people knew about this guy, prior to this tournament. Obviously, I think he played in Lock-In. But yeah, he's been absolutely popping off with Jet. I think he played Gecko as well for a few. So yeah, he has played absolutely insane. Even in the game against T1, He played incredible, right? It's just unfortunate that they did manage to lose. I think it was Pearl. Yeah, it was Pearl. So, yeah, him and Smoggy, they've been absolutely demolishing everybody. So, really happy to see that a Chinese team have actually managed to kind of go to the next level, right? We've kind of been waiting for this to happen because Riot have been doing this thing where, because the game was recently approved in China, because obviously when you live in China and you want to publish a game in China, you have to go through a very long process of getting the game actually approved to be playable, right? And Riot Games went through that long process. Obviously, they are owned by Tencent, which is a Chinese company. And they managed to get the process done, I believe, earlier this year. And it was completely fine. Everything's done. Like, you can actually play in China. You have servers coming out, all this kind of stuff. And the game will be released for Chinese players, right? And that's obviously a massive, massive thing for Riot, because they are looking to ensure that they actually, get the Chinese market, which is considered one of the largest in the world, if not the largest in the world, when it comes to consumer base. Obviously, China also has one of the largest populations in the world, if not the largest population in the world. So, Riot Games are definitely trying to broaden their horizons when it comes to Chinese teams. As you'll see that they even invited these two guys to the tournament, right? So you have Attacking Soul Esports and you also have EDG actually playing in this tournament, and they were just given direct invitation through I believe it was the FGC tournament, I believe. So these guys are already here, but obviously if we take a look at the playoff bracket now, this is where you'll see the majority of your favorite teams, the Louds, the Liquids, Fnatic, that kind of thing. And the first two teams that have qualified for this are NRG and EG. Obviously, both took down their respective opponents. Obviously, NRG beat Na'Vi, and then they managed to beat T1, I believe. And then EG beat Foot Esports, and then beat DRX, if I'm not mistaken. So these guys are already coming off of a very hot streak. Hopefully, they won't play against each other in the first round, because obviously we definitely want to see like North American teams in, on the opposite sides of the bracket. So hopefully they'll play each other to try and get like an upper final slot or whatever. And just as a little bit of a reminder, similar to Lock-In, the winner of this entire tournament actually manages to secure a place for that region's LCQ runner-up, I believe, to qualify for Champions. So if you win LCQ, which is the last chance qualifier, which is after this tournament, the LCQ is obviously, if you win it, you go to Champions, but the second place team will also go to Champions if the, let's say Na'Vi, or we can't say Na'Vi anymore, obviously. Let's say Fnatic win let's say they win Masters. They have then earned EMEA another slot at LCQ, at Champions via the LCQ. So the second place team from the EMEA LCQ will be able to qualify for Champions. So it's not just the winner of the tournament, right? And that's kind of what's been going on with this whole event. It's obviously been crazy. It's been insane. And some of the matches coming up, I believe, is... we'll take a little look now. We have DRX taking on Foot Esports. Obviously, this is an elimination match, so this means a hell of a lot, because to see DRX go out so early would be bizarre. And obviously, the final elimination game would be T1 versus EDG, because these four teams are obviously in a battle of trying to secure... qualification for the playoff bracket. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, there is a lot of indecisiveness when it comes to stuff like this. Obviously, we have to take into consideration that these teams are playing very regularly, and we have to, kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to kind of bring up a few of the tweets as well from some of the players, because I saw that obviously they are incredibly disappointed to have Angel go out so early. It's not something that really happens. It's not something that really happens very often. CNED is one of the few players for Na'Vi that have actually tweeted out saying we didn't deserve to win. Actually, we will prepare for the LCQ. So just confirms that they will be playing in the EMEA LCQ alongside some of the teams that didn't qualify for Masters and didn't qualify for Champions. But obviously, if you don't have CNED at Champions, what's going on, you know? Something must be happening here, and it's very bizarre. So, you know, CNED saying here we didn't deserve to win obviously just goes to show that this team has a lot to play for, and they kind of have a lot to improve on. Obviously, only winning one map out of all of this, you know, out of their Masters run, it's something that is completely unheard of when it comes to Na'Vi. But again, huge props to EDG. I don't think any of us expected anything like this to happen. So obviously, massive shout out to them. Edward are in fact gaming, which is something that a lot of people are very appreciative of. I think we kind of like seeing these kind of underdog stories, which is always great. So hopefully we will see a little bit more of that going forward. So that concludes this video. If you are curious about VCT Masters, I will be covering it a little bit more on my Twitter account. And I can't speak. You should also check out the stream whenever it's live. Obviously, if you're in Europe, it's a little bit of a issue because it kind of goes live at like 4 a.m. our time, but it's fine. So I appreciate you guys watching. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. Feel free to subscribe, like the video, and I hope you have a good day. See ya.